Jordan Peterson's life advice will change your future. Dr. Jordan Peterson is a public intellectual, clinical psychologist, writer, and professor emeritus of psychology at the University of Toronto. He is the author of the popular Globe bestseller 12 Rules of Life and Maps of Meaning. Peterson's book draws on a wide-ranging, interdisciplinary array of sources to make his points. He's the most influential public intellectual in the Western world right now, as per New York Times' David Brooks. Peterson's philosophies are greatly centered to the importance of seeking out and even making meaning in life. Peterson leans on the fact that certain preconditions need to be met before one can live a meaningful life. He insists each of us has enough potential, character, power of character, let's say if it's properly manifested, to contend with that in a noble way, and to rise above it, and to transcend, to deal with it, in large part because we can make the world a much better place than it is for each individual, and for our family. And we can constrain the malevolence, at least in our own hearts, and perhaps have a positive effect on those around us as a consequence. And that actually does make things better, and we actually can do that. And that's where the meaning in life is to be found. Peterson insists that if you've adopted the responsibility to make things better, then you have a reason to get up. There's very little difference between the meaning in life that gives you fulfillment and engages you in existence, and the willingness to soldier as much individual responsibility as you can possibly handle. Those are the same things. Peterson believes that one of the things you see with people all the time is that maybe they're trying to stumble forward towards their ideal, as poorly defined as it might be, but then they're afraid. They're afraid of what they might encounter, because fear does stop people. It freezes you like prey on them, and so people move ahead, but then they get afraid and then stop moving ahead. And that's not so good, because negative emotion is a really powerful motivator, so we're more motivated by negative emotions than positive emotion. And that's bad, because the negative can stop you. When making a difficult life decision, people are weighing out the costs and benefits of making the life decision. To not make a decision also has a cost, and sometimes the cost of not making a decision is far worse than the cost of making a decision, even if the decision is risky. So, one of the things you can derive from that is that you're screwed no matter what you do. As per Peterson's philosophy, if you know that there's terrible risk associated with everything you do and don't do, then you can afford to take some risks. Within the ark metaphor, despite the fact that your life is essentially catastrophic, you can make a covenant with the highest ideal, and that will take you through it in the best way possible. To make the risk in life affairs clearer, Peterson has cited an incredibly fitted example. Consider Superman. When this character was first introduced, he was hugely popular. But then, the comic book writers kept giving him power after power until he was virtually invincible. Naturally, readers started to find him super boring. If there is no risk of danger, Superman's victories are hollow. And in the same way, good moments would be meaningless if we didn't have to fight through difficulties and suffering to reach them. He stresses the fact that your best strategic position is, am I insufficient, and how can I rectify that? That's what you've got, and the thing is, you are insufficient and you could rectify it. Both of those are within your grasp if you aim low enough. If you don't know how to start improving your life, well, you're not aiming low enough. There's something you could do that you are regarding as trivial, that you could do, that you would do, that would result in an actual improvement. But it's not a big enough improvement for you. So you won't lower yourself even to take the opportunity. What do you do when you go on to lift weights? If you haven't been stressed before, you don't put 400 pounds on the damn bar and drop the bar through your skull. You have to go there to the gym, strip down, and put your skinny goddamn self in front of the mirror and think, son of a bitch, there are all these monsters in the gym who've been lifting weights for 10 years, and you're there struggling to get 50 pounds off the bar. Tough luck for you, eh? But you could lift 50 pounds, and it's not very long till you lift a 75. This way you never injure yourself, because this way you don't push yourself past where you could go. There's a humility in determining what it is that the wretched creature you are can actually manage. Aim low. Aim low doesn't mean don't aim or don't aim up. But you have to accept that you can set yourself a goal that you can attain. And there's not going to be much glory in it to begin with. Because if you're not in very good shape, the goals that you could attain tomorrow isn't very glorious, but it's a hell of a lot better than nothing. And it beats the hell out of bitterness, and it's better than blaming someone else. It's way less dangerous, and you could do it. As written on his book, 12 Rules of Life, as you start to fail, you fail more and more rapidly. When you've made an error, when you've fallen off the pathway, when you've deviated from what you know you should do, it produces a state of internal chaos and worries and concerns. But then, as you start to succeed, you succeed more and more rapidly. A small step today puts you in a position to take a slightly bigger step the next day you do that for a while, and then you're going to start to strive now. The most influential public intellectual affirms that the gateway to wisdom and the gateway to development of personality is precisely through a portal that you do not want to climb through. And the reason for that is that there's a bunch of things that are underdeveloped about you, and a lot of these things are things you've avoided looking at. And there's a part of you you've avoided developing because it's hard for you to develop these parts, and so it's by virtual necessity that what you need is where you don't want to look, because that's where you've kept it. As a child, you may not have wanted to brush your teeth or wear your mittens, but these are things that should be done. As an adult, you must determine the goals that help define who you are and the direction you want to take in life. Then, you will find the steps that you should take and the actions that are best for you. Marking Peterson's words, you're nowhere near where you could be. You're not even close. That's a way more optimistic message. But the thing is, you don't overestimate yourself now. You don't underestimate your future self. You have so much influence as an individual if you can get your act together that you can't believe it. There isn't anything that has more influence than that. You have all the power that there is right where you are to put things right around you. You start now, you develop a noble vision, right, of who you could be. You start to put that into practice and develop some discipline. Familiarize yourself with the great works of the past. Learn to read, learn to write, learn to speak, learn to think. Man, you'll be deadly. This is the best attitude to have. Embrace life and appreciate every good thing that comes your way. You'll also be sure to see yourself through the tough times, even when they're prolonged. Remember, there is no day without the darkness of night, just as there's no order without chaos. There is suffering in life, but it's also what gives meaning to our perseverance and makes the moments of peace so rewarding. This brings us to the end of today's video. If you have found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to help the channel grow. Also, show us your thoughts in the comment section below. See you next time.